guys, welcome. We have made it to the 10th episode. Jacked. 10th episode of Jacked. I don't have my sunglasses with me. But
Oh, I just realized everyone can see what my screen is right now.
yep. We'll just there we go. Turtle Beach coming in.
Well,
Episode
we're
10.
already
We're
off the rails.
we're so off the rails. But welcome to episode 10. What a wild week we had this past week. Some of these games really have set the tone to where we're not talking about what the league is talking about this week. League chatter is off the board. We're talking playoff picture because there's about 3 or 4 games that happened this week that set the tone for these last few weeks, and that playoff picture is going to be photoshopped, I guess, multiple times because it's going to change a lot because that's how close things have gotten.
This isn't my Mojo down for the week, but I gotta tell you guys, Josh Josh and I talk almost every day at this point.
Yeah.
And he just sends me okay, but imagine if the Knights actually win out, and sends me what the tiebreakers can be. And he makes my life a living nightmare because he sends me updated
Yes.
standings that would make it so that we have 13 tiebreaker games.
So yeah,
and it is.
I was just very curious because I've done this before. I will copy the schedule. I will copy the schedule over, and I will use the new copy, which I call something random, and I'll go in and I'll say, all right, 1-0, just to see what the tally up the wins. All right, I think this team's gonna win, and I go out and see what I think the final will be at that point. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. How it worked out. The Knights make the postseason. We'll get to it later in playoff picture. We have to start off with a crazy game first off, as you shake your head. We're gonna start off with the Stingers, man. This game, I look at this game. I check my phone. And I'm like, okay, Stingers are up 6-0. This is fine. Stingers are just dominating, man, dominating. And then I look back maybe 10 minutes later at the stream, and I'm like, holy shit, there was a walk-off. like what happened?
I thought the Cyclones won it.
Yeah.
I really do. I thought that they had everything that they needed. They scored all the runs that they needed in the top of the inning. And then the Stingers just go and walk it off and ruin all our fun.
I went back and watched it, and I'm like, this is nuts. This is insane. But it's the Cyclones, and it's the Cyclones, and the Cyclones can't get luck in their favor ever. It's unfortunate, but that image of Jet County watching that was clipped and posted in the SSBL chat will go down in history as a what moment picture. That image was priceless. So shout out to Shaq for clipping that and then having that Jet County.
County. Someone free Jet County.
Yeah, for real. That poor guy, man. I mean, he's a season 4, so I think he's done. So I think he's done for. So it's unfortunate to see him, be stuck in prison over there with the Cyclones. But moving on, staying in the Epic, the Bombers get the season series win. 2 games to nothing over the Serpents. So the rivalry, I think now the Bombers now lead by 2 or 3 games.
3 games.
Yeah, 3 games. 3 games now, which props to Whitney on that one because this rivalry is something else. This is like Yankees Red Sox of the SSBL. That's how I'm going to compare it. This is Yankees Red Sox. Bombers Serpents, but Bombers, they pull it off 4-3. Close one, but they come out victorious in the end.
Yeah, and it wasn't as easy as the first time around when they faced them, but that means now that let's see. So they are 2-0 this season. They were 1-0 last season, so that's 3 straight. Dating back to in the divisional, so they've won 5 straight over the Serpents.
Wow. That's impressive.
They have won, let's see, 5 out of 7. They have won 9 out of the last 14.
Wow.
Against the Serpents. But really, yeah, five wins in a row, dating back to the last time that the Serpents won was Game 1 of the Season 6 Epic Divisional. That was the
Wow.
season that the Bombers won it all. So it has been a while since the
Wow.
Serpents even beat the
That's
Bombers.
wild. That's insane. That's actually crazy to think about. Shout out to SSBL history and all that fun stuff.
Well, that was just me looking up my post in the
Oh, I know. But I'm just
Discord.
saying SSBL history as a whole and as like a
Oh yeah,
subject, and just the
yeah,
fact that
yeah.
we have the ability to like and this the data there to look back at this type of stuff. And shout out to LaCroix if you want to sponsor the Jacked podcast. Hit
Yeah,
us up.
Pomplamoose today.
But we move on to a game that we thought both of us thought this was going to be a lot closer. I think everyone thought this was going to be closer, but the Gauchos came out freaking swinging. I think that the biggest moment for the Lumberjacks in this game was just Speedy Gonzalez robbing I can't even remember who it was at the plate, but robbing the Gauchos of a home run. But that was like that was the highlight. That was it. Like there was nothing else to go right home about.
See, that was the play of the game because what happened immediately after that? The Gauchos scored another like 3 runs that inning, even after that. So like I'll tell you what, when the offense is on for the Gauchos, it is on.
Yep.
And when the bullpen isn't leaky, the bullpen is on. Like really think it's safe to say that of all the teams in the Heroic, the most dangerous on any given day is the Gauchos,
Yep.
based off everything that we've seen from them. But I mean, I could easily see them falling in the divisional round because it's a 3-game series. But if they don't fall in the divisional, I think that they win it all this season, to
So
be honest. Like I know they've had some slip ups, but they haven't no team has dominated them
yeah.
at all. And they're just not a team that can be dominated. And they're getting Neon Dion back as well.
Yep.
So I think that I mean, like this was a statement win for the Gauchos.
No, absolutely, and it shakes things up, and we'll get to it when we talk about the playoff picture. It just shakes that whole Heroic side up because again, a lot of factors happen. We'll get into that in a bit. But I love how because we have the notes here for our game recaps right on our doc, and I just have Wildcats beat Mythic like that's just it, just Wildcats beat Mythic. Like there's nothing to say.
You can't say dominate because let me tell you, the Mythic definitely had some bad games this week.
Oh gosh. My favorite moment of the Mythic, and I think it was this. Yes, it was this game. So it's that Benghazi. You're like, finally, the pitching staff. It was right after a strikeout. Finally, the pitching staff have something go their way, and the next, literally after those words coming out of their mouth, they try to pick off at first, and they just like throw it nearly into the stands. Like the greatest. Like that was like the funniest moment I think of this entire week. Was that moment. You give the pitching staff some praise, and then they just botch a pickoff.
The Mythic had the lead over the Wildcats. They had like a 2-run shot in the first, and then they also like I think going to the fourth, they were leading like 4-3. But then they gave up another 12 runs.
Yeah, vote for
no. You know what? They were winning 6-5. Yep. That's what it was because they didn't score a single run once Page came in.
Yeah,
I think it's once Page came in. Page gave up like
another one of those charity Skulls of Rock charity donations.
Honestly, your tax write-offs are going to be off the charts.
So good.
Talk about what is it when companies have to write things off due to like waste or lost debt? What's the word? Well,
I know
you're a part of our company.
Yeah.
You know this word.
No, I don't do finance. I just make I make the company money. I do biz dev stuff. I don't ever do this stuff.
Goodwill. That's what it's called.
There we go. Goodwill. Which is where we'll probably find some Mythic clothes in the future. Anyways, Styx, or otherwise known as Wigan. Most people know him by Wigan, but Styx. He faces his former team for the first time. It was a great moment to have Styx back at Colonial Plaza. But on the opposite side, in the visiting dugout, and he gets a 6-3, I believe, win over his former team. Nothing really to write here. I mean, these are two teams that are out of the postseason. They're just playing for fun at this point. They're getting a paycheck as they say, right? So
not a very large paycheck,
no,
but they're getting a
no,
paycheck.
no.
I think the thing to note though is that this was, as we'll see with the next one, you see my addition to your note.
I see this.
But this was the first elimination. So this was an elimination game, and Wigan kept the Sparrows alive with a win over his former team. I wonder if the Angels feel a little resentment because it's like, hey, you retired and now you're just like not even like a little bit of time, like you're immediately back now and you defeat us. But like also again, like Styx's journey from Angels manager to Sparrows manager was
It's
not a linear line. It was very much everywhere, and we appreciate him stepping in
absolutely,
and being the
but
shareholder
he's
of it. But I think one thing for him that he can resonate with is that, and I think you can yell at me if you want. Tina Tygo is leading the All Star vote for
no,
third
absolutely.
base.
I voted Tina
So
Tygo. I am a Tina Tygo
the
die
Tina Tyno.
Tina Tygo diehard fan. Tina Tygo is probably one of my favorite players in the SSBL that was never a Skulls rock player. Like to me, Tina Tygo is like the face of the SSBL, especially on the women's side. Like as a female within the league, she is the queen of the SSBL, like hands down. Like I don't think there's anyone even close at this rate. Um,
And I know that like in conversations with him, he kind of wanted to retire the Tygos, but look at what Tina is doing in this season when
as
she's
a
supposed to be gone.
season one, she's crushing
She has
it.
got it. She has got to be the best season one right now, right? Like
Absolutely.
there's no other season one is even remotely close to like. I don't think there's any other season one that's even nominated
No,
to be an
no,
all
there's
star.
not. There's not. I look. There's not. There's not a single season one. The closest is Crew Heart season two. I believe is, and I think Rowan Baloney, I think is on there as well. I believe he's on another nominee from season two. So a couple season twos, but the only season one is in fact Tina Tygo. So that was crazy. But by the way, before we get into the next one, you mentioned how Wigan retired and he came back. Wigan retired. Wigan and he is Wigan is still
Wiggins no
retired.
longer here.
Sticks came in, and he now runs a Sparrow. So you never know. Like who is Sticks? Who is Wigan? Are they the same person? Like
So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
exactly. But anyways, going into the next one, Bombers crush Cyclones, and as you add here, and Thanos snap the epic.
Yeah, they so the Sparrows had they're like, "Hey, we're still alive technically." And then immediately the Bombers just destroy the Cyclones and eliminate the Sparrows. They eliminate the Cyclones. They eliminate the Skulls of Rock. Like literally
Yep.
this day, week 10, day 2, we started in with 12 teams that technically could have gotten into postseason, and by the end of the day, 5 of them have been eliminated.
Yep.
Just like immediate, which like I don't listen. I don't want to cause a little controversy here.
Yep.
The teams in the Epic are good.
Yep.
Okay. However, they have so many bad teams.
Yes.
There are so many bad teams. And like granted, I know the Cyclones have just gotten things that just haven't really gone their way, but like the fact that there are 5 teams eliminated in the Epic and there's only 1 eliminated in the Heroic, I think that there's better parity in the Heroic than there is in the Epic. Again, the Epic has won the last Super Series for like how many
3
seasons? So
seasons.
like
The Lumberjacks were the last heroic team to win, and that was season
yeah,
4.
it's been Skulls, Bombers, High Rollers. I mean, Unicorns, Stingers, definitely favorites to win it all. So like, don't get me wrong, the Epic dominance is still there, but I would also want to give us a little bit because when one of these, we'll talk about it in the postseason talk, but the High Rollers, Bombers, and Serpents, 3, 8, and 4 teams, one of them is not making it, and it's easy at face value to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that a 10-6 team didn't make postseason. Listen, I'm a Dolphins fan. I know all about being 10-6 and not making postseason.
I'm a
But
Cowboys
especially
fan.
like,
I know how it is to also be in the same boat, like to be
man, both of our teams, man, we used to have a rivalry.
right for
And it's
real.
been just debauchery. Anyways, all that to say, the Epic is pretty top heavy in terms of the teams that are actually competing, which is why like the Thanos snap happens.
There's no skill gap really when it comes to the Epic compared to the Heroic. I mean, you have you have your 12 teams per conference. You have 10 in the Heroic that are really good, and you have 7 the Epic that are good. So it's like, and I say 10, and that's really like I'm not
I
counting
mean,
the
even
Liberty moonshots.
the Heroic are home to the best expansion side, the
Yeah.
Express.
Yep.
Like the Express could have, honestly, you look at the Express's schedule, they could have easily gotten into postseason this year.
Which is wild to think. Which, speaking of the Heroic and speaking of the postseason,
Great transition.
the Dogs, man. The Dogs needed this win to stay alive, not just to make the postseason, but for the Icons Championship. They destroy where do the overdrafts go in this game? Like, did they forget?
I mean, they can't go back home because they're already there. Like, that's the biggest thing, is that they gave up the. Oh, did the Overdrafts win the first game, or did the Retrievers? I think the
Retrievers won both.
So Retrievers sweep the season series, and then the worst loss is at home as well. And no one else is at El Viejo. They're the only ones at El Viejo, and it's like, hey guys, remember when we started out strong? Listen, I resonate as a Dragons owner. Like, I know what it's like to start out strong and then just absolutely crash into oblivion. Luckily for them, their strength of schedule should keep the overdrafts into postseason at 7-5, but it's certainly like, for the Retrievers, like, we have been saying this entire season, when are they going to wake up? And I think we're starting to see now that our expectations were too high for the Retrievers, for where they are currently. This was not the same type of rebuild that the Gauchos have. They didn't have the same assets as the Gauchos did in terms of their rebuild. And the Gauchos have been in a rebuild for longer than the Retrievers have as well. But we're seeing now that the Retrievers are a team that are right now the best in the Icons. And it took them a while to like solidify that, and they still have a lot of work to do in order to confirm that, because as of right now, they're doing a play-in game for that title. But it's at least good for them to know that they're going to be making postseason, because if they lost this game at 6-6, they could have potentially not even made postseason. Now with this win, I think they've got a good buffer.
Yeah, and again, it gets very, 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 very interesting. And we'll get into it. There's so much to talk about in the playoff picture. There's so much to talk about. But first, we'll go ahead. Do you like this? What I said on this next game? This next game?
The laugh I had like 10 minutes ago was I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So we got the Serpents in the next game. They send the Mythic to an alternate universe with a 28-3 win. This is not break the record for most runs in a single game, and in terms of the run differential. I want to say it ties it. I think it's 25. It's 25 or 26. Can't remember which one.
But is this the most runs ever scored by one team in a game?
I think it was 29.
That I did?
The Knights, I think, were 29. No, you scored 29, right?
I can. Oh, you know what? I think I may have scored 29. It's in the SSPL history. I can look it up here real quick. The Serpents are a big fan of the Multiverse of Madness, because that's where they sent. I scored 29 against the Vikings in season 6.
That's what it was. And that was, what was the run differential?
That was 24.
24, and then just to make sure, this is the record then. This is the record for the largest run differential in SSBL history.
We'll still need to figure out rally caps for season 4, season 5. We can like go back in and figure those out. But yeah,
and you're not frozen or anything.
I was about to say, what did you just do?
Every time I click on Discord on accident, because it's out of habit, you get frozen, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Serpents, congrats to them, because that's like the only positive thing out of this podcast that they will have, that they just broke the record for the most runs in a largest run differential in a single game. Moving on, another one of those like I did earlier. Knights defeat Moonshots. I don't really know what else to say here, but you know the Knights.
It was 19-3,
Yeah.
and we saw that like, well, we're in for a day of stream. This stream went nearly 3.5 hours.
Yes.
It was such a long stream.
So I watched, you know, a little bit of game one, and I watched the beginning of game two, came back and saw that it was another 19 point. The victor had 19 runs, and then I come into game three and I just type in the chat, all right, time for a 19-18 ball game. Because like there were so many runs put up in those first two games by the winning team, and then we get to the ball players, which we'll get there in a minute. But wrong fielders crushed the Walkers again, 19 to what was it? 19 to
19-8.
19-8. Yeah. So I didn't expect it to be. I mean, I expected wrong fielders to win this, but not to the extent of putting up 19 freaking runs.
I mean, when was the last time then? Is that the most runs ever scored by the wrong fielders? I think it is.
That's probably, if you look back at history, I want to say that's right. The wrong fielders that's probably the most runs they've scored in their history in a single game. That's wild. But again, and as I mentioned in the chat, like I was dropping history bombs in the chat during the like at this time. I mentioned that this was the first ever postseason game between these two teams of the SSBL. The SSBL, we had a
Which,
wild
by the
card.
way, we've passed 3 years.
I know. It was just the other day, which is wild to think. And I'm actually going to post something on LinkedIn. I've never posted on LinkedIn about the SSBL, but I'm going to, because I have a reach there, and I'm trying to.
You'll need to whatever you post there, post it in the Discord. So I don't think anybody realizes we have eclipsed 3 years of the SSBL.
Yep.
The first 3 seasons happened in 1 year,
Yep.
which granted there were 8 teams and then 16 teams. So there are much less games to go through.
Well, and also from season 1 to season 2, it was like almost 2 weeks between. There was no like progression in between. There was nothing to be done.
There was nothing. That league looks nothing like the league.
There was nothing
now.
to be done in between seasons. So like for me, I like during season 1, I had already started creating season 2 logos and colors, figuring out color schemes and all this stuff. So a little history lesson here. I was doing some simulations of some teams, and these are the teams that actually ended up being in the SSBL. Because prior to this season, all expansion teams, including season 2 and season 4, were just what the game gave us. I just changed up some names, and that was it. That was it. There was nothing else touched. The stats stayed the same. So there has been one no-hitter thrown, and it was an unofficial game because I was just running some sims, and I've only seen one no-hitter thrown ever. It was in Super Mega Baseball 2, and it was someone that should not have freaking thrown one. I'd have to look up the freaking name. It was from the Moonshot season 2. Welp Miller, I think is his name.
Oh my gosh.
He threw a no-hitter, and I was just like, all right, I'm just done here. So there's a history lesson for you. I was running it on my laptop, a little sim, and I come back and I look, I'm like, that's a no-hitter. There was a walk, so not a perfect game. But I was like, wait, that's a no-hitter. And who is it? And I look at his stats, I'm like, how? Like, how? How is that even possible? Which also made me excited for the Moonshots going forward, because I was like, all right, are they going to do something crazy this season? Which they did pull off, doing decent.
Turns out every season the Moonshots did something crazy, including this season.
Right. But moving on, ball players get the best of the unicorns.
This was the game that both of you and I mean, we went 0-3 in game votes this week, but this was especially one I was not expecting. Not that I thought the ball players were bad, but like the other thing is that this was the number 1 and the number 2. The number 1 and the number 2, it was out frame, ranked pitching teams, and they gave up a combined 14 runs. Like, It was a ridiculous game to
I
watch.
think it just shows more, obviously, about the offense that these two teams have, opposed to the pitching. Like pitching staff is like, yeah, they gave up 14 runs, but like this offense is like,
These offenses have been kind of absent this
yeah.
season in terms of
Then all
the
of us,
power level.
and then all of a sudden they show up against the like the best pitching staffs in the league. So 8-6 was the final, and this really sets like the bar, and really like as we posted right before, Stingers now are have clinched a postseason spot because of the Serpents High Rollers game this coming week. Serpents High Rollers, no matter who wins, it doesn't matter. It gets the Stingers to 0 games needed, so they have clinched a spot
Which who
already.
would have thought that after the what was it? For
I mean,
19-4
opening day.
opening day. What if
The
I told you that the Stingers would lose 19-4 on opening day, and they would be the first team to clinch a postseason spot and could be the #1 seed?
Yes, that's I would not have believed you if you would have told me that at that week. And even when, like, I think even at the after the upset of the Angels, I was still having a little bit of doubt with this team. And then ever since that, I'm swear, it's RNG. There is no momentum, but that loss is what fired this team up, and ever since they have not looked back. So I'm just saying, Stingers are on a roll, and I think they'll continue that. But here we go. This game,
This was crazy.
this game was nuts.
This was crazy.
Liberty upset the Vikings, and yes, upset the Vikings. Even though the Viking, I don't know what the actual run
Ruining their
differential here.
postseason chances. Like the Vikings still could, but like Running was in the chat being like, "Hey, we're gonna win this game." I'm like, "Yeah, you're facing Joey Chestnut. Of course you can." But then they actually did the damn thing,
Right.
and I think they equaled their home run total
Yes,
for
I
this
think so.
season in one game. They hit like 4 or 5 dingers, and that was
At
all that they
Shaka,
had the entire
at
season.
Shaka, out of
At
all
Shaka.
out of all ballparks, Shaka.
It just kept on happening in the same inning as well. Like you could hear it in my inflection. I'm just like, what is happening?
Matty Musgroves hit one. Libby Sickley hit the one to go ahead. Like, it was nuts. It was insane. And I'm happy that the Liberty get the win, but it does make things crazy for this playoff picture, which is a nice segue right into the next segment. Playoff picture, man. When you look at the current, let's just look at the current schedule.
Yeah, do you have something to put on the screen?
I can see what I can do in a very short amount of time.
Because if you here, I can do this for you.
Actually, I got you. I got this. Got this. Thank
The, I please, it'd be my honor. Unless you can create something in Photoshop in like 5 seconds.
you. I got this. We'll just change this real quick. We'll pull up the season. No, we don't need season 2. We need season 8. There we go. And then we just yeah, there we go. We just unhide it. We'll throw it down here underneath the jacked, or on top of the jack logo, so right below us here.
It's so tiny.
We'll expand it a little bit.
Yeah. We just gotta
Pull it up on your screen.
No, but I'm doing this so that way it doesn't hide my face.
There we go.
So here it is. But yeah, no. So for the okay, I'm gonna have to look at mine because it's hard to read. So the Gauchos have a half game over the Lumberjacks. You and I were just talking that the Dragons actually could be the first team to clinch a postseason slot. They're actually the first team to end the season. We actually finished week 12, day 2. So we actually kind of finish out pretty early on. I think the Retrievers also finish same day. But you've got like the Gauchos are pretty handedly going to be winning the Heroic Evolution here, unless they drop another 2 games and the Dragons win out. It's gonna be the Gauchos winning the Evolution. Lumberjacks, I'm surprised they haven't clinched it already. That they're gonna be winning the Legends. And then for the Icons, Retrievers and Overdrafts tied up, and they both have like really, really similar ends to the season. As I pull this up here, the Overdrafts have Moonshots, So we'll do this is wins, this is losses. So we got Moonshots, we got Liberty, we got Wrongfielders Vikings. I'm not saying these are losses, but these are not necessarily gimmies. So maybe they go like 3-1 to end it. For the Retrievers, they've got Dragons, Liberty, Knights, and then Lumberjacks. So they could easily go 2-2 or also 3-1. Both of these
Right.
teams could. I honestly think we're headed to a tiebreak in this.
I think so as well, and I think there's going to be tie breaks, not just for division championships, but I think it's like it's all right. Fight for your life in the division championship, and then fight for your life to actually be in the postseason. Like I think that's very much a thing where it's you're either the division champion or you're not even in the postseason. I think that can happen in both.
Really, you think that's gonna be the case? I don't know if that's gonna be the case, man. I like the Vikings would have to win out.
A very slight chance.
Okay, so you're saying it's the Knights then? You're saying it's the
yes.
5-5 Knights.
Yeah.
The 5-5 Knights who have to face the Dragons, Lumberjacks, Retrievers, Vikings, Walkers, Lumberjacks.
Yes.
You think the Knights are going to win 5 of their next 6 or 4 of their next 6?
Mm-hmm. I do. I think 4 of their next 6.
Out of your goddamn mind.
No, I'm just look at history and let me get up here. Look at history.
Back in my day in the SSBL.
Lumberjacks and Knights. I think the Lumberjacks should sweep this 2-0. That shouldn't be like an issue at all. And actually, I'm gonna pull up the test here. Maybe I have the Lumberjacks losing one of them. I'm gonna pull up my little test sheet over here.
This test is just a Google sheet with like thousands and thousands of sheets of rambling.
It's just zeros and ones. It's just zeros.
It's just a whole bunch of pointed arrows. Like
so, I have them. I have them just splitting. It's 3 games that they need to win. 3. I have 3 games, and it's gonna get crazy because I have. And this is what I was sending you the other day. 3 games. They'll beat. I have them beating the Retrievers. Yes, I do have them.
You sound like a lunatic. It's like, this is what I sent you the other day. These are my stats. This is my research.
Vikings, Walkers. Those are the 3 wins. They lose the other 3. Okay. The Retrievers is, I think, where it gets a little bit on the messy side. But they did beat them here, so I gotta swap that out. They're going to lose to the Dragons. They're going to beat the Liberty. I had them losing to the Knights and losing to the Lumberjacks.
You have them losing to the Dragons, yet you have them in your game votes as beating the Dragons.
Yes, but this is my test here. This is, bro, when do I ever pick the Dragons?
You do all the time, and it screws me. Don't make me change my mojo down.
But there is a crazy chance that there is a potential do or die situation. It's more so in the epic in terms of you win the division or you're gone, and that's literally, I'm pointing at you phenoms, like you guys down over here, you guys over here, y'all have a lot of work to do. Y'all gotta get together and figure out what the hell is going on, because y'all are gonna bring exactly what I said in probably episode 2 or 3 that made you want to have the Mojo Down segment at that moment of a 3-way tie for the championship, and one team's gone. And I think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen.
Which, like, the other thoughts in the heroic are Wrongfielders at 7-5 have a brutal schedule to end the season. They have got Gauchos twice, Moonshots, Overdrafts. They could easily be sitting at 8-8, which would then bring in your whole Knights thing with them being 8-8. So I know I gave you the crazy eye, but given what the Wrongfielders have, like, very much so, the Wrongfielders are in a really, really tough spot, especially losing our good friend Rainy Days, who I'm pretty sure. Wait, is it Rainy Days that we're losing?
Yeah, Rainy Days. That was the entry, I believe.
Okay, then, because we're gonna have to look at All-Star voting. because
Oh
she's
yeah.
gonna be
So she makes it, but then there's an injury
a
substitute.
a fill-in's gonna have
Yeah.
to come in.
Um.
Let's just make sure that is
I
rainy days.
just
Yeah, it's rainy days. It's
so the
injured.
thing. So looking at everything here, the 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 retrievers. I have them finishing 8-8. That's where I have them sitting.
Wow.
And so look at the overdraft's ending schedule though. Even though the overdrafts are on a downward like trend, they're not playing well. But look at their schedule. Look at
Yeah,
the
and look at the retriever schedule.
but the retrievers. It's like
Y-
it's the we don't even know who the retrievers
I
are.
I will go ahead. We just got done saying that they
We
got a huge
don't.
statement win over the
Right, but
overdraft,
we still don't
and
know
you're
who they
saying they're going to go
are.
1-3 to end the season. Now we are part of the interruption.
I'm just saying. I don't.
Overdrafts do have an easier end to the season. I
Yeah,
will agree. To that.
it's way easier because you face the Dragons. That's a loss for the Retrievers. You face the Biberty. That's a win. The Knights is a toss up. That's literally a toss up game in my or a gimme game as everyone likes to call them. It's one of those gimme games that should be, but it's not. It's not a gimme game. People think it is, but it's not a gimme game. And then you lose to the Lumberjacks.
Have we talked enough about the heroics so that we can turn our attention to the absolute uh, black hole that is the epic? With
Yeah,
Stingers, Unicorns, ball players are in terms of my Stingers are already in. Unicorns, ball players will get there. I don't see the ball players losing. First of all, the ball players would have to lose 4 straight to go to 10-6. I don't see them losing to the Angels. They've got a tough schedule with Wildcat, Stinger, Serpents, but I mean the ball players could very much end up being the 1 seed.
Right. Pardon the interruption.
the
I
end of
just got to
this.
highlight this real quick.
The run differential. It is
109.
no,
109.
hold on. Also, look at the runs given up. They've given up 144 runs in 11 games. That is
Next closest is
amazing.
121.
This is why it's the toilet bowl.
Oh gosh.
Also, speaking of toilet bowl, the two teams offensively have given up literally 33 and 35 runs. They literally are toilet.
Yeah,
Anyways.
let's get back into the let's not
Okay,
interrupt.
so epic.
Okay,
Epic.
Here we go. Stinger sitting at number 1, as you said. Ball players very well. Like looking at their schedule, and I'll pull
Ball
it
players
up on
are
my
in.
other.
Ball players are in my.
Yeah,
Even if they
yeah.
only win one more against the Angels,
Yeah, they're
that's
in.
11-5. You're in.
It's just a matter of I mean, their biggest game is this final Stingers game, right?
Which, if they win, they're in control of being the 1 seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, they're looking at the ball players' schedule. They just beat the Unicorns. They play the Wildcats. That's a tough one. That's not something that's going to come lightly. Then they face the Stingers. Then they destroy the Angels, and then they play the Serpents. Another game that's not easy. It should be in the ball players' favor, but it's not an easy one by any means. I do think the ball players Stingers game that's 100% deciding who wins that division and could potentially decide number 1 seed. Absolutely. And you look at the other team. So you look at the Stingers, their final schedule. They have 2 games left, and their 2 games are massive, like massive.
Yeah.
Ball players, high rollers. You are literally playing a team that is currently sitting at number 4 because they're 10-2, but they're sitting at number 4 seed because of how playoffs work, and you're sitting at the number 3 seed. Those are your last 2 games, and that like obviously they're in the postseason. That's fine, but to get that number 1 spot, that is a scary last 2 games. If you're the Stingers, it's not going to be easy. It's obviously now that we have 16 games, it's your number 3 and it's your number 4. So, what is it, Del Vecchio?
Yeah.
Del Vecchio is one of them.
And so here's the thing. I just sent you all of this. Here are the remaining schedules for High Rollers, Serpents, Bombers, all at 8-4, and then Wildcats at 9-4. So let's go ahead and let's do this. The High Rollers are going to beat the Sparrows. Let's go ahead and agree on that. The Serpents are going to beat the Sparrows. The Bombers are going to beat the Sparrows. In which case, all 4 of those teams are at 9-4. Then look at their remaining schedules. If all teams are at 9-4, High Rollers have Serpents, Cyclones, Stingers. That is, let's rank that as like a for High Rollers. Let's rank that as like a out of 5. The Serpents is like a 3, Stingers is 1, Cyclones is 5. So that'll be like a 9 for the High Rollers. For the Serpents, they've got High Rollers, so it'll be the same 3. The Skulls will make that a 1. Ball Players will make that, or 5, and they'll make that a 1. That's also a 9 for the Serpents. For the Bombers, they have Angels, that's a 1. They have Unicorns, that's a 5. It's opposite there. Listen, I sound like a rambling idiot. Wildcats, let's make that a 3. That's a 9. And then finally, Wildcats. You've got Ball Players, which is, I would argue, a 5. You've got the Bombers, which I would argue is a 5. You got the Mimic, which is a 1. Out of all of these teams, after all the shenanigans that we're saying, what if it's the Wildcats that end up on the outside? What if the Wildcats end up going 1-2 at 10-6?
Yeah.
And they're the ones who miss.
10-6. Serpents. Well, you said they have.
If they go 10-6, the Bombers are basically guaranteed to go 11-5, not considering the Unicorns game.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like, I'm not saying the Wildcats are gonna miss, but it would be poetic, wouldn't it, for the team that first game of the season absolutely demolished the Stingers. The Stingers end up as the 1 seed, and the Wildcats miss for the 2nd straight season.
That would be wild. No pun intended. That'd be wild because, and there's a good chance that this is a play-in game. There's a really good chance we have a play-in game between the Wildcats and the Serpents for this final spot. There's a good chance at 10-6 they can both be 10-6.
Honestly, I could see Bombers, Serpents, and High Rollers all ending up at 11-5.
That's also like there's so many crazy scenarios with this. And I also have a scenario. Just make sure I have everything correct here.
Which hold on. If they all ended up at 11-5 and the Ball Players end up at 11-5, could we have 5 teams for 3 spots or for 4 spots?
Hold on.
That would be absolutely crazy if we had 4 teams for 5 spots. This is the longest jacked, by the way.
No, we have to go through we have to hit an hour and a half, for that to be a thing. Looking at it, the only thing I can see, I mean,
podcast has now become for the past 10 minutes.
You can have 11-5.
Guys do math.
Yeah, you can have.
Follow along, everybody.
It's gonna be crazy to think like to see this play out, and it's always the epic. It's always the epic. Epic always has these crazy play-in games, but with the obviously the the addition of 6. It's like 16 games, and the addition of also. Not just 16, it's the 3, like it's guaranteed 1, 2, and 3 are all the division winners. 4 through 6, it's a toss-up. And that's where it gets even crazier because obviously we don't want somebody in a weaker division to have to play a play-in game to not even make postseason. So that's why we have this rule in to guarantee them into the 3 seed. But this 4 through 7 basically is the best way to put it, could be a crazy tiebreaker tournament that might as well just be the post. Like, we might just everyone makes postseason. Like, we'll just start you guys in a bracket way over here.
Team to watch for the last 3 weeks. Sparrows. They play High Rollers. They play Serpents. They play Bombers. Who else do they play? And they play Unicorns.
Okay, so
that's
potential
those little
upset
birdies.
there.
Those little birdies are the canaries in the coal mine because if you don't beat them, there's tweeting along, and you've got some issues.
And you also got to look at there's 2 teams that play the Cyclones, the Unicorns, and the High Rollers. Cyclones, they never are on the good side of luck, but you never know with the Cyclones. Cyclones can come out and they almost beat the Stingers. Can they do that to the High Rollers? Can they do that to the Unicorns? Do I think it's going to happen? No, but they are another team to watch out for, like the Sparrows. That's the thing is like, look, these teams are all trash at the bottom of this list, but they can just like make it.
But there are
absolutely...
trash.
Yeah, there are trash. The Angels have bombers and ball players. Do I think they're gonna upset them? No, those are easy wins for both teams. But Tina Tygo might hit a walk-off home run or some crazy thing. Actually, no, it's on the road, but you know what I mean.
What's cool about this discussion, though, is that for playoff picture, right? When we talk about this next week, 20 games will have happened.
Yep.
Because we've got all the Super Saturday games that have already happened that we don't even know about.
Yep.
That, let's be honest, it should be a pretty chalk day. On Saturday, I don't know if we have any. If I have to look it up here, I don't know if we have any like crazy matchups or anything like that. Vikings Express, Dragons Retrievers, maybe. In terms of
I
like,
would say so. I'd say that's probably the largest game out of all.
The rest of these are pretty cake and pretty chalk. Like Gauchos over Moonshots, Dragons over Knights. They should be beating. That could. I mean, according to the forecast, it's evens. Angels Mythic. Who cares? High Rollers over Sparrows, Unicorns over Sparrows, the Toilet Bowl, and then Vikings over Express. Like these are games that we should entering next Monday. Nothing should have changed.
Yeah.
But that really alters what we're talking about here. But that's what's crazy is that like I know we're putting a lot of stock in this right now, but because literally like the entire picture is going to be completely different by the time we record this next week.
Yep.
Which we're gonna have to figure out when we're recording because I'm gonna be.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
But we're pretty flexible. We'll figure it out. So yeah, that's it's wild to think, and postseason is right around the corner, and so is Mojo down, and I think it's time. I've gotten your Mojo down, so please do not put me on this. I understand. I feel it. I've seen it in your expression. Your hair looks nice. I'll compliment you. But it's time for Mojo down.
You know what's got my mojo down? Look at this little post on the Super Mega Baseball. 14.4K members. Wow. Good job, Super Mega Baseball. Great job, Metalhead. It's the toilet bowl. Come in and watch. The _ pulverizer. Nothing better than Saturday morning baseball. Kawashi _ blue. No, seriously, y'all should be there Saturday. I promise you that all the great action that's going to take Saturday, the best of the worst, will be worth the price of admission alone. Me, most anticipated game of Season 8. Shag, gonna be an absolute crapshoot. Should be fun. Then you've got this debaucherous individual who I can only assume DBB stands for the bad boy or something like the bad takes, because what are you doing? You're clowning on simulation baseball. The invitation to watch strangers play video games on a beautiful spring Saturday, that's the definition to be a can't miss for me, dog. First of all, you get dog out of your mother effing mouth. How dare you go off that term? That is our term. It's a positive term. To watch games on a beautiful spring Saturday. You're commenting on a video game subreddit. What are you doing? It's watching video games play themselves. That's an even harder pass, LOL. You're in a video game subreddit. What kind of rock did you just come under to find out that this is a video game subreddit? Were you just a fan of adjectives in front of baseball? Guess what? Stranger, you don't know anybody on the Angels. You don't know Shohei. You don't know Mike Trout. You don't know any of them. Yet you still watch baseball. Those are strangers. It's called a relationship in which you have no idea how the other person actually is as a human being. It's a parasocial relationship. Get your head out of here.
That's amazing. Oh, screw that guy.
Longest Mojo down ever, by the way.
That was so good. Thanks for that one. Oh my gosh. I woke up like super early and I saw that and I'm like, that's how I'm starting my day off is with this little douchebag, which that's what I thought was
the douchebag boy. That's what DDB
douchebag.
stands for.
That's what I was saying, and that's what I guess I know what
That's
DD
what I'm
stands for. Anyways, time to panic or chill. Panic and chill is now the segment here. We're going to talk about the overdrafts. Overdrafts starting off hot. The team, everyone's like you and I both are like overdrafts, and then like we get halfway through the season, and it's like overdrafts, like question mark? Like, are they still a thing? And then they lose to the Retrievers. So, is it time to panic for the overdrafts?
Absolutely not. I'm chilling. Based off the Retrievers schedule, I'm chilling.
I'm with you as well. I think I have them finishing 12-4. I think is what it was. Just because they have such an easy end of their season. So I'm gonna remain chill. If I'm the overdraft, but you're not looking good. Let's just say that. You could say chill, but you need to hit the batting cages and make sure that your pitching staff is on point because that is rough. So we'll go ahead and move on from the overdrafts because we're both chilling here. But this one, congrats to both of them for buying a house. But that house might be it might be tumbling down real soon if both of them miss the postseason because it's a possibility. The possibility that both the Vikings and the Serpents miss postseason. The Vikings lose to the Liberty and make it even harder for them to make postseason. And the Serpents lose both of their games to the Bombers this season. They're now tied at the top when they were at the top of this division for the entire season, basically. And then they just fall, and now there's a three-way tie. And the only good thing, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, for the Serpents was they broke the record for the largest run differential in a game. That's it. That's the only positive thing from the Serpents in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's panic time.
The Pulver House. They need to make that a Pulver home because they're going to be sitting in the couch when it comes postseason time at this rate. It's just so tough to see these teams making postseason at this point. Serpents a little bit more, but Serpents are on the verge of not making postseason for back-to-back seasons.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Vikings were 2 games away from winning a Super Series?
Yep.
I forget what was it 4-2?
I think so. I think it was 4-2.
We can look up real quick. Vikings go from 2 games into winning a Super Series to not even making postseason. The Vikings are in a far worse state than the Serpents are, without a doubt. It was in 6 games, so yeah, it was 4-2.
We'll go ahead and coin the acronym PHP real quick. Pulver House Panic. That's what PHP is. It's gonna be the new.
So when I saw those people on the street doing PHP, that's what they were doing. Because they're doing a Pulver House Panic.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The Pulver House Panic. But you go ahead and say what you were gonna say. I might make that an emote. Follower emote. PHP.
But yeah, no, the Vikings are in far worse state. Serpents, I think they can still make postseason.
That's the thing.
They should at this rate. It's such a coin flip who in the Epic is gonna miss.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they could be missing is absolutely bonkers.
Going literally from first in the division and riding a nice little wave to not even making postseason. That's very Dragonish. You know what I mean?
You know what? Point taken. Point taken.
Which we're both in agreement here on Panic and Chill for the first time, probably 3 episodes. So it's been a while. But let's go ahead and disagree on at least one thing here, and we go to the week ahead.
Which we do disagree on one thing.
Yeah, so let's disagree here. Week ahead, which by the way, outside of the Super Saturday, we sucked this last week.
we were garbage.
We went 0-3. You're now at 10-7. I'm at 9-8. since we started actually keeping track of the predictions. We were garbage. So let's see if we can do better. But we have one difference, and that's the first game of the night this week, presented by Turtle Beach. That's Serpents and High Rollers. High Rollers lost the first game 1-0. It wasn't, yeah, Serpents won 1-0. So High Rollers lose. I say they get their revenge, and I say it's a 1-run game. I say 3-2. You have it also a 1-run game, but you have Serpents winning 6-5. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, and in terms of rotations, it's going to be Mars versus now Fumi. Which is why I give the Serpents the edge, the number 1 versus the number 2.
I can see that. I can see.
No, what really sucks for the Serpents is that game against the Skulls, they don't have Khan. But we're not talking about that game. We're talking about Serpents High Rollers.
Right.
I have it 6-5 Serpents. I don't know. I'm just doing what the forecast tells me.
I got High Rollers 3-2. Moving on, we agree with these next two. Obviously we have this. The only thing we don't agree on is the run differential in the second game that we'll talk about after this first one. The Wildcats at ball players. We both have the Wildcats winning this one. You have 3-2. I have 8-7. I do think the offense for both teams is going to show up to this game. It's the pitching staff that's going to make it not fun. This is going to be very similar to the Unicorns game. I see it being just like the Unicorns. Obviously, being 1 run more for the losing side, but same kind of result there.
The Wildcats, because it's Leonard Northwest for the ball players, and so that's why it's only 3-2. I think Leonard Northwest does Leonard Northwest things. Polo Cologne on the mound for the Wildcats. I think the Wildcats bullpen is going to be resonate thin. I think maybe they don't call an Adrian Walker for the ball players, and so that results in them giving up some late runs. Wildcats take it and put our misgivings about them. I'll say this: Wildcats beat the ball players, they're making postseason.
Yeah,
because at that point they would be 10-4, and they have Mythic and Bombers. They will beat the Mythic. They'll be at least 11-4. That'll be good enough to get them in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And we agreed on so far on the run differential on both games so far, but we don't agree on the run differential, but we do agree on the winner of this one. Unicorns at Bombers. We have the Bombers continuing their path to the postseason with a victory over the Unicorns, which I believe is that an upset by the numbers? Would that be an upset?
It's evens, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So you have the Bombers.
I think Bombers are actually favored. Yeah,
okay.
and I had the Bombers 1-0. I think the Unicorns go back to their hitting ways, and by that I mean not hitting.
Yeah.
And Bombers blank them.
I have 4-2. And I think that's where it's like I can see it being a 1-run game, but I just feel like that Bombers offense is going to come out on top, and that's what's going to, that offense is just starting to really pick things up, and it's time for them to get that. Like, they've gotten those big wins, but this is the win. Like, this is the game that you win this, and I basically say that you're in. Because I do think, obviously, with Serpents and High Rollers at the beginning of the week, that helps you out by one team. So I do think this gets you closer to the postseason with a win over the Unicorns.
Which wow on us for choosing all epic games of the night.
Oh gosh, which I do think, if I'm not mistaken, let me just pull. I want to say there's a good amount of heroic games. A good amount of heroic games towards the end and for the game of the night. So I think there's might be a Vikings game.
Knights, Vikings, Gauchos, Wrongfielders, Liberty Express, Overdraft's Wrongfielders. Yeah. And we'll even go through. We can even go through and make sure that those are actually games that we want to be games of the night. I mean, we're not changing ball player stingers, that's for sure.
Right.
Knights, Vikings, maybe Lumberjacks, Retrievers. If the Retrievers get their act together, that could be an interesting battle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see anything else on week 12, day 3. Week 13, day 1. Yeah, there's really no other games there.
So well then.
It's it looks pretty. This looks pretty
Vikings,
in
Knights,
Iowa.
Gauchos, Wrong Fielders, Liberty. Wait, yeah, Liberty Express,
Only
Overdrafts,
game
Wrong
is Liberty
Fielders.
Moonshots. If the Moonshots don't win, that would be the Moonshots' last chance to get a win.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we'll move that over Bombers Wildcats.
No. I think we had talked about this possibly moving it to a different day, if that
Yeah.
was the case. But I think that's maybe we move it to that Saturday or even that Wednesday and move overdrafts wrong or move a game from that day or something. Depending on how overdrafts wrong fielders end up playing out their last few games. Anyways, as always, as we end this stream, as we just talked about the SSBL game of the night presented by Turtle Beach, we gotta talk about our winner this week. And drum roll from Fisack, which drum roll and the shaking of the camera. The winner of this week's Turtle Beach headset is Aggie. Aggie is the winner this week, despite his disagreements and his participating in the beta of good old agents. He is the winner this week, so congrats, Aggie. I will be Turtle Beach will be shipping your headset down to Houston area, which I don't like going to. So Houston area. I don't like Houston, man. I don't like Houston. Don't. Never liked it.
He's so elitist.
I like Aggie. I like it, and I like that he is an Aggie because I like Texas A&M. They're not my team. I don't have a team in college, by the way. I don't. I just watch sports. I don't have a team in college.
I don't. I just watch sports.
I'm so like for you, you got South Carolina. You are, you're a Gamecock like through and through. But like for me, I don't have one. I just watch whoever
the vibes of this podcast have been all over the place.
They have been. Maybe it's because I'm on like Dayquil or something, and
I
got like a cold, and I tried to hide it as much as I could.
You didn't tell me. We could have. I needed to quarantine now.
We were 6 centimeters or pixels apart. We got.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, we had to do it 6 feet apart.
So this whole podcast should have been from back here. Anyways, thanks as always, guys, for tuning in. It's the fact that we have even gotten to 10 episodes. I don't even think we ever got to 10 full episodes of Rigged, like actual 10 episodes of Rigged, and I don't even know if we had 10 episodes of Rigged.
There were well, here's the thing, there were episodes, but they were like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah,
so.
we get to episodes of Rigged where let's talk about the games, and then things go south from there, and it's like talking about something that's not even relevant. So thanks as always, guys, for tuning in. My name is Jay Watt alongside Fisack. See you guys next week.
Keep on rigging, everyone.